So Candyman is actually surprisingly good, and what I mean by surprisingly good is that this is a low budget movie, and we're not talking low budget like terrifying low budget where there's next to no story. That honestly was one of the most bonkers movies I've ever seen, Terrifier 1, with no story and just all killings. It is completely bonkers. However, this movie is bonkers in its own right as well, because this movie is not a typical kind of horror movie. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. There's no middle ground. Simple reason being because, yeah, it is a low budget movie, but I think there is just no middle ground because of the story. The story is set up for it to feel that way. Because to some people, it might come across as a confusing mess and what the fuck is this? And to other people like myself, it comes across as quite a different, unique type of horror movie where we're looking at this urban legend from different angles. We're going over a journalist who gets too close to Candyman, and it's all about the myth and the legend of Candyman, rather than it being about the horror slasher types of stuff that you would expect in, like, with these urban legend sorts of things. Put it this way, this weren't the type of movie I expected to be watching when I banged on Candyman, but it was surprisingly interesting and really took you down this other path that you didn't even know existed before banging the film on. I think though that this movie, what I love about it, just seems to focus more on the aura and how scared people are of this figure, this legend of Candyman, and everybody seems to be like, oh my god, have you heard this story and you heard that story? Nobody's really seen anything, but they hear stories, and it's about the legend of this icon, this horror icon, which is just born throughout fear and fear and fear and fear of not wanting to say his name 5 times in a mirror and the rest of it. And I think that for me is really interesting. Love that side of stuff because that produces the scared angle not only to the audience but to the actual people on screen as well, because it's like, okay, nobody wants to do this sort of thing because they're frightened of this phenom, this icon. And to be fair, by the end of the film, it's sort of like Candyman wants to keep that fire light. He wants people to still be afraid and to keep the legend alive. And I think that's why this movie is so different from any other types of horror movies that I've really watched, because most of them are like slasher, you get your ghosty type ones and your paranormal-ish ones, your exorcism ones, your shark ones, whatever. But there's not one that really seems like this one. Maybe Urban Legends is your closest one, but then Urban Legends is completely different because that falls into the slash category of somebody trying to imitate these urban legends and making them real, whereas this is completely opposite to that. Is getting to know this urban legend and then getting too close to the urban legend that you end up becoming sort of involved in this urban legend. I do think the whole movie is great, but I think the soundtrack of the Candyman theme song just brings it all to life. I think, you know, like when you watch Halloween, The Exorcist, Jaws, these iconic theme songs, when they appear, you know shit's going to hit the fan. You know that something is going to go absolutely horrific, and you know the killer's going to strike. You know this icon is going to do something, or something big's going to happen in the film. You know, as soon as you hear that theme song, shit's going to go down. And I love that, because that's what this movie does. And it plays it maybe 2, 3, 4 times in the entire film, and it's always either to introduce the film or to hit into a big moment or to introduce the character again. And these little things just make it creepier and a darker and bring that tone down so that it's that music really fits in with this creepiness of who this urban legend really is. I think easily the best part about the movie is Helen, because Helen is sort of like the main character. And at the start of the film, she feels normal, like comes across as a normal person, just doing research and whatever. However, in doing her research, she ends up in front of Candyman, who then, when she blacks out, she then wakes up in a pool of blood, and then she's getting blamed for murders that she did not commit. And obviously, it's clear to see that Candyman framed her, and now she's been sent to a mental hospital because, like, what the fuck are you doing? You've just gone on a mad one. and start killing people. And I think that was really interesting how she did all that research and got too close almost to the point where she was almost questioning this legend. Then it fucking hit her in the face, and then she tried summoning the Candyman to say, look, this guy is real, this is what's happening. And when she did that, he then killed a psychiatrist, in which was like, oh my god, and then she was allowed to escape. The ending was so bizarre though. The ending last 20 minutes, 25 minutes was just bonkers. It just went off the rails a little bit as we'd gotten past where she'd then escaped the asylum, hospital, whatever. And then she goes into a confrontation with Candyman then, where Candyman's like, if you keep feeding my legend, I will keep Anthony safe, which is the kid that went missing out of the apartment. And she didn't have a clue where he was when they were like, where is she? Where is this kid? Whatever. She didn't have a clue because she didn't do it. She was framed. She was then catapulted into Cabrini Green near the apartments and whatever, and she hears the Anthony kid crying. However, these kids are setting alight this fire, and then she goes into the fire because she hears the baby crying, and he's in the fire. She goes into the fire, and then she ends up battling with Candyman then, in which was a weird sort of thing, because I think he wanted to drag her down and make sure she died or whatever. And then she managed to kill him, saved the baby, and then she died just by being fucking flamed alive as she just brought Anthony out. And then the movie then cuts to Trevor in his apartment with his new bird, and he's feeling a little bit lonely, down, whatever, feels like guilty almost, and then he accidentally says her name 5 times, Helen, in the mirror, and then gets slaughtered, in which was a weird, bonkers, fucking hard to explain ending, but that's what makes this movie brilliant. It's just so fucking weird and bonkers. Let us know down in the comments down below what you thought of that fucking ending. Before we jump back into this video, guys, please do us a massive favour and smash that subscribe button, because you do not want to miss a thing this week, next week, and the week after, because we've got tons and tons of content planned for you guys, and you can do us a massive favour by smashing that subscribe button, joining the community, getting updates to all the latest videos from the YouTube shorts to the actual videos. It is well worth it, completely free, and you will not regret it. So to summarise this movie then, for me, easily 7.3 out of 10 and a great film. So let us know down in the comments down below, was it good, bad, terrible, amazing? Do you enjoy Candyman? Is it one of your favourites? Is it not one of your favourites? Let us know, all that jazz down in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet seen our Terrifier 3 movie review, check that out right now.